Hey, Tubies! It's Psychic Bob. We are live. It is 8 o'clock Eastern U.S. time, and that means it's the witching hour. I'm here with my old buddies and crew, and I love them, Lady Angela and Lord Tony, and I'm going to let them each say hi to y'all.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight on your Easter evening. And we're very excited for tonight's show. And happy Easter and happy Ostara, everybody.
Well, Angela just said it also. Glad to be here. Hope everyone has a fun time.
Yay. Well, it looks like we got some people gathering. I'm trying to get the chat room open here. You see anybody in the chat room, Lady Angela?
Oh, yeah. We got quite a group here. A lot of regulars and a lot of new names. We got Carol Pettis. We got Layla. Got Rockstar of the Future. Mama Bird's here. Marigold. Armani's here. Pete's here. Mina's here. Riverhawk is here. Hi, everybody.
Yay! Well, it sounds like we got a great crew. All right, hold on. I'm bringing up our chat. Guys, sorry for the broadcast quality tonight. My mom's computer went down right before the show. I had to switch everything over, and I'm on a computer that has a very poor quality camera, so the lighting here is not good. So I'm sorry y'all can't see me tonight.
Well, you're still beautiful, Bob.
The only good thing about a bad camera is that it hides all the wrinkles.
Well, I got a couple yard sale finds just the other day I'd like to show off.
Oh, please do tell.
First is this lovely hat I got for $1 at the yard sale, and it's just wonderful. And it was so funny because the lady, she says, "Oh, you like that witch hat, even though it's not Halloween?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I have a whole collection of them." And she didn't say anything else. And I got 4 chalices for $2.
Ooh.
A set of nice, it's that good glass, you know, that thick glass for $2. I'm excited about those.
Oh, you did good, girl. Good girl.
What have you been up to, Tony? Did you have a Easter celebration?
Yeah, I just got back about 45 or so minutes ago. Went out of town, and so been gone all day. Got up nice and early. So, but I do have to say a big, very big thank you, monstrously big thank you to one of our members, Carol Pettis. She sent me a few gifts.
Oh.
So I get to do show and tell today. Anyway, Carol sent me these paracorded items here. I believe this was a keychain. It's got a keychain ring on it. Nice little tassels for the cat. If you want to play with it, they're not going to play with it. But I think this is really cool. She's got some talent there.
She has talent, yes.
Carol Pettis, amazing.
And then she sent me a belt.
Oh my!
Cool.
This belt is huge.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's all my favorite colors too.
Oh, that's
red,
cool.
purple. Big old ring on the end there.
Oh, I love it. It's got that good protective red because you're Lord Guardian. That's perfect for you.
And then, ready for this?
Yeah.
Check out the new anthem.
Oh my.
This thing is, well, take it out of the box. It is, of course, you know, it's black. It's black. Covered in skulls. It's kind of the thing I would do for myself. And then, of course, nice shiny blade. Really pointy. I haven't sharpened it yet. Probably not going to.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
You got me. So, Carol, monstrously big thank you from me.
That is awesome. I love mail. You know, I recently purchased from Carol some wands. She handmade me some wands that I'm keeping a couple for myself because I'm in love with them, and the others I'm going to be listing on my website. And me and her are talking about doing some business where I can get some wands from her to sell. And so if you guys want Carol to make you something, she has some incredible talent. You can find her over on Facebook, Carol Pettis, the Green Crone. And I want to show off these wands that I got from her. And you could certainly get her to make you some with a specific theme, or just talk to her. Find her on Facebook, talk to her. And Bob's gotten things from her that are amazing. But check out these wands. Now it's my turn for show and tell. First one was a gift from her, and this is a green dragon wand. Look at the wings on it and the head, and the hands are wrapped around it, holding the stick with a crystal at the end for the tail. And it's got these vines. You can see those better under here. Vines, the dragon. She handmade this with clay and baked it and made me this wand as a gift. So you hold it down here, and this is just amazing. The end is kind of like an egg shape or leaves with this wonderful crystal. This one I really love. Now, I have 5 more. This one, she is the Isis one, and she can make you one like these two guys. So it has the stick, it has the wand out. And I don't know how she does these, but it's amazing, her handiwork. There's rose patterns. There's Isis with her wings outstretched, and that's on each side. This will be one that I have for sale. And it has a crystal at the end. This is an Isis wand. It's amazing.
Hail the goddess.
This is one I'm keeping for myself. This one is the castle wand. It's a lovely dark color, and it has this wire wrapped around it, which I really like, because for me, it'll draw energy from my hand out through the tip of the wand. Then it has this gold leafing and crowns, and at the end, a big quartz crystal.
Ooh.
And it just feels right in my hand. This one is going to be for me. She does incredible work. I have no doubt whatever your theme is or your thing is, contact Carol. Let her know. Let her make you a wand, because her handiwork is amazing. Here's another one with the wire. This one she calls the In Bloom wand. And she created this beautiful flower with a green stone, the leaves and vines, and the crystal at the end.
Can I
Something about her wands that I don't see elsewhere?
I think that flower. Can I see that flower? I think that's a sorcerer's violet.
Oh, wow. Even better. She makes the clay handle and then lets the staff be, the wood. And it's a little bit less jeweled and whatnot as the handles are. And I think that's really neat. This one, she's really good at making fairies. This one is amazing. It has this dark stone, possibly amethyst at the end. You see how it's kind of like a leaves coming out of a flower? The vines, and then she made by hand these fairies. She can make these for you too. And a flower and another fairy, then the whole staff of it. Carol, you really do amazing work. This one has the end like this, twirly whirly, which I like. She calls this the rose one. It has roses and it has rose quartz all throughout it, and then tipped with the rose quartz. Now, these are wonderful. Okay, I'm done hogging it.
What's that? Yay. I'm impressed. Well, I can tell you from the treasures that Carol has made me in the past, I'm just blown away by her talent. Y'all got to buy her stuff. Absolutely.
Everybody in chat's going bonkers over Carol's work, too. She is very talented. I can't believe she wove that long belt for Tony. My goodness.
Her fingers are probably bleeding.
Or permanently knotted. I'm impressed. Well, my chat for some reason is frozen, guys. I can't see what's going on.
Well, everybody's giving shout outs to each other. We got a bunch of our regulars. We got Amy Bell. We got Nicole. Carol Pettis is in the chat. Armani's here. Riverhawk, Aaron, Debbie Webby's here. What do you guys like us to talk about tonight? They're thinking, I think.
Well, I was thinking today about the whole Easter holiday because where my mother lives, it's small town. It's pretty much conservative Christian. I keep a little bit of a low profile down here. Wiccans, I don't think, are too welcome in this town. But that being said, the word Easter actually comes from the pagan word for Ostara and also for the goddess Ishtar, which was a fertility goddess in ancient Babylon. So I don't care what the Christian groups say. Easter has a lot of paganism, if you ask me.
Don't all the holidays, Bob? For sure.
For real. Well, I was sitting here looking at my book. I've been reading this wonderful book. It's an older book, DJ Conway, called Celtic Magick. And they go through and they give all the different, rituals for the Sabbats. And I was sitting here reading about the spring equinox. Now, in this book, they call it spring equinox. But it says about March 21st. And so it says also called Alban Eiler by the Druids. So there was another name for this holiday we just had. And it says roughly corresponds to the Christian Easter. And I just thought I'd read a little bit here. It says, special notes, balance of light and dark, sowing time in the north, Earth's cycle of plant and animal fertility, spell producing and new beginnings. So they have a whole ritual in here, but that's kind of like give you a little insight what you might want to do at this time. And, as I've been walking around, I'm seeing literally down here, all of the trees are starting to bloom. And I'm starting to feel that, that life energy, that new feeling. It's wonderful.
I agree, Bob. I love springtime. It's one of my most favorite seasons, and it started with Ostara, that's our spring equinox. I'm eager to get my garden going. I want to plant some veggies. I want to plant some flowers. And I went to Walmart and I splurged and I got me some little plants, but it sucks because I still have to keep them inside the house. I really want to get them going. So that's something I did in the air of for spring. I'm starting to get my little plants going for my garden. So,
well, before you start planting, you got to ask permission from the gnomes and the fae.
Yep. They're actually excited about it. They want me to get the mess cleaned up and get it looking nice in the yard. Right now I got flower beds dug, so there's dirt and the hose is stretched across there and the shovel, and they want to hurry up and see what I'm working on. Tony, has it been looking like spring around your place?
No. We had another snowstorm over the weekend, so we got about 4 inches over here, but just 15 miles north of there. We got like 13 inches up there. We're expected to get more snow on Tuesday. I think another one on Thursday, and it's headed all for Bob. So
well, please don't tell me that. I can't handle it.
I can't handle this anymore either. It's all wet.
I'm fleeing to Florida. Anybody
from
Florida? You want to host Psychic Bob for a few weeks?
So I haven't really been able to do much except shovel.
Is that normal where you are, Tony?
No, normally we would have had multiple days in the 50s and snow would be all gone. So this is a little ridiculous now.
I have this thought, and it seems to be all over the United States. There's this cold snap because it's way lower or colder than usual where I am as well. And it's almost like we're not going to have Ostara until we get to Beltane. You know what I mean? It's like it's not going to get warm till Beltane this year. Just my experience.
Yeah, well, here in Minnesota, we have the 4 seasons. We have winter, not quite winter, summer, and winter.
Tony, remind me never to move there, no matter how crazy I get. I used to love winter. It used to be my favorite season. I don't know. I think I'm just getting old. I like hot weather these days. I used to hate the hot weather. Anyway.
It's easier on the bones.
What's that?
It's easier on the bones.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, it looks like we got some questions in the chat here. Oops, hold on. A lot of people are saying they've been having snow. And Melody Miller says, I believe that, Tony. I guess about being in the bones. You know. Mama Bird's here. Oh my gosh, we got a lot of people. Well, you know, guys, I was thinking also, you know, tonight as it's kind of this kind of what I call the crossover. It's Ostara and it's Easter. And, you know, this is a really interesting time because, you know, many people in the craft, and I'm particularly aware of it because I'm in a small conservative Christian town. You know, it's one of the things that I feel very privileged in my life is that I'm able, for the most part, to be very open about being Wiccan. But there are a lot of people around the country and even members of our order who, you know, really still have to be very careful. And I think those of us who are able to be open about being Wiccan, you know, we really want to try to remember and always uphold and support the members who are maybe being oppressed or feel like they have to be hidden, you know. There are some people in the craft who say, well, everybody should just be open. That's tough. I would love that. In the perfect world, it'd be wonderful. We could all just be who we are. But, you know, unfortunately, we still live in a time where there is prejudice and challenge. And, you know, I think that this is one of the things, you know, the order allows people to have a place of refuge. And, you know, each week we gather, we want this to be a place of refuge for people, you know.
Good point, Bob. Simba has a great question. We're starting to get our questions in the chat. She asked, can you tell us what it means when you have white light in an aura? What does that mean, Bob?
Oh, yeah. White light, that's always a blessing sign. See, white light is the light of divinity. It's the light of transition. White light many times means you're leaving an old situation. You're literally at the doors of freedom. And it means that the light of the spirit world is blessing and protecting you.
Layla Aladlani, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, had a great question. She asked, how do you guys apply witchcraft to your everyday life? What things or rituals do you do, is what her question is.
I think it's a wonderful question. You know, I think for me, I spend time every single day at my altar. I light candles, I light incense. You know, I may not always do a spell formally, but I do look at my books of shadows, and I make a point to attune to the Lord and the Lady every day. Wicca is to me, it's inbred in my very breath, you know. And I think other things, you know, a lot of times, like I'll make sure to be carrying a Wiccan book that I'm reading. And my whole house is into being decorated in Wiccan themes. So I'm always shopping and thinking about Wicca. It's just kind of part of every day. But I think it's important for those who follow this path to really make time to connect to the deities, to nature, you know. When you know, it can be as simple as going outside and taking a walk and like looking at the grass, looking at the trees, figuring out where the energy is right now, where you are. You know, some of you live in a desert, some of you live in the mountains, some live at the sea. Each place has its energy, and as part of Wiccan, as being a Wiccan, you want to just be aware of the energy that you're around, you know, because that's your source of power. You draw from that. What do you think, Lord Tony?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I'm not sure if this would really be called witchcraft. My thing is, you know, I concentrate on the pentacle. I hold it in my hand. I'll make sure I surround myself in my energy. I stay in my energy, not in anyone else's. I go to work and I follow what I believe, and I stay with that. I don't let anyone else's nonsense get into my head. I come home, I meditate some more, relax. That's about me. You know, it's I do my own thing, and I make sure it stays that way.
I agree. That's a great point, Tony. That really is. You know, I practice some of that as well. A lot of shielding at times, you know, if you ever feel in danger. But my day starts off with thanking the gods for the day. I'll drink my coffee and wake up my mind in the morning while I sit there, and I just open up to any messages that come to me. They don't always come at that time, but I'm open to it. I'll take my morning shower, which rinses off the day before and refreshes me for the new day and what's ahead. And I make that an act of meditation as well. Throughout the day at work, I'll often speak with the gods in my mind, and all different things like that throughout the day. I'm constantly, our inner dialogue in our mind. And if we have a routine in our day at work, then we're able to spend that time in our mind talking and discussing and conversing with our guides. And then even in the evening, I take a meditative bath at night. So those are some of my daily rituals that I do. That's a great question.
I think it's a great. One more thing you might want to also do that will help you draw that energy into your day is keep a little holy water font by your front door or your back door, both doors. I a lot of times find I used to be Catholic. In the Catholic tradition, a lot of Catholic nuns, they put their hand in the water and they do the sign of the cross, right? Well, the Wiccans can have our holy water and we can do the sign of the pentacle as a way. So you start there and you go, each of the 5 points across your body, and you're anointed with the pentagram. It's a wonderful way to kind of keep that mindset as you get ready to go into your day.
Absolutely. Timothy Gallagher says, I'll say one part of his comment. He says, sometimes the deities are just nuts. And that's true. The gods and spirits work in mysterious ways, and they do have a sense of humor. Things manifest sometimes in unlikely ways that make us stop and go, huh? And we reflect on it and realize there is a master plan at play,
I think that's wonderful. I know somebody who used to work with the god Loki. They were into Norse paganism. Mm-hmm. And I've always found that when people invoke Loki, it does get a little crazy at times. That's just his energy. And many people I've worked with him have had that experience of little zaniness. I think, one of my teachers in Wicca many years ago said, all things with mirth and reverence. Mm-hmm. So that means that, our spirituality isn't just always serious. We have fun with it and laugh along the way. If your religion, your spirituality is not joyful, you're doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Nicole Gaspard asks a great question. They ask, how can we see spirits better?
Good question. Well, last night I did a video, which was working with the Black Mirror. We had a seance. I find the Black Mirror to be a great way to connect with the spirit world. Now, I'm a medium. I can see spirits even when I'm not working with the Black Mirror. But sometimes using a tool like that just will kick it into hyperdrive. And so I would encourage you to explore the world of scrying, because scrying isn't just seeing, it can also be hearing. I've known many people work with the Black Mirror with a crystal ball, and then they hear rather than they see. So spirit communication can come in a lot of forms, but I think to help see spirit, scrying is a great technique to kind of get that hyper started or kick started.
That's a great answer, Bob. Nicole expands on that and says that she sees them in their orbs form first, then their apparitions and spirit voices. That's awesome, Nicole. For myself, I had to stop trying so hard, and just open up to the small sensations, you'll feel a brush across your skin, or that's what I felt. And then little by little, you can begin to communicate and strengthen that connection. One of my guides, Jack, he can actually give me physical touch. And that's really amazing. But you have to let your guard down. You have to stop trying so hard and expecting such a huge whammo, because these are spiritual beings, not physical beings. So they have to communicate with you in thought form or in emotions or in ways that aren't necessarily physically becoming real right in front of you. It's in other ways, and you have to let your guard down so you can perceive that and receive it.
Absolutely.
Bob, that scrying session last night was amazing. It was off the hook.
Thank you. Well, every now and then I like to do a different type of seance, And it was amazing to me because, you know, I always tell people whenever I do a seance, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I've actually done seances where I sit and nothing happens. Sometimes it's like that, you know, but when you sit, remember this, if you're trying to connect with spirits and you feel like, you know, gee, I'm not getting anything, don't view that as wasted effort. Because what you're actually doing, even if you don't get a result when you sit, you're letting yourself be present so that the spirit world can get to know your energy. And even if you don't get something one night, the next night you sit, because they're familiar, you'll start to build power more quickly. So it's never wasted effort, you know, because I know some people wrote to me and they said, say goodbye, you know, I did that Black mirror work. I never got the results you did. And I like to tell people it's not always like that. You know, we were very fortunate last night to get that. But there are plenty of nights where I'll sit and sometimes I'll just get a little bit or not much. And you just have to accept that, you know, and be content that you're being open to the spirit world.
Tony made a video last night on how to make a black mirror. I just saw it in the chat. That's awesome, Tony. Tell us about it.
Actually, I'm going to do that later on tonight because I just saw the question and how to make one. So I made a real simple one. It took hardly any time at all. So I'll just do a video on that later tonight.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes. Thank you, Lord Tony.
Something I thought was really significant about your video, Bob, is that both Fletcher and Rose appeared in the mirror. And it reminded me about how wonderful your videos are, that they present different ways that we could go through to connect with the spirit world, different mediums, you know, whether it's scrying through a black orb or through a black mirror, or doing divination like with the tarot cards, or to do the mediumship things like you do, Bob, or to do through Ouija board. You have so many different tools that we all have to connect with those, but I love that you even had your same guides. They came through. So it shows us that not just one method can work. We can use several different methods to connect with our very same guides and other guides. I thought that was impressive.
Thank you. You know, all of these things are doorways to the spirit world. And so I do tell people, and I think you raise a good point, is that there are a lot of ways to connect. And just because the black mirror may or may not work for you, doesn't mean stop there. Try crystal balls, try water scrying. Many of you know I have a wonderful, I didn't bring it with me, but I have a beautiful scrying bowl that I bought over at Rare Wicca Spells. It just works wonders for me. I actually had somebody last night wrote me a letter and they said, say, Bob, I think I do better with scrying when I use actual water rather than glass. And I can understand that because I think for myself also, when I use water, I get even more. And I think it's because water carries such an electrical charge and it's an element, you know, earth, air, fire, water. So when you're using the direct element, I think that, you know, think about elements in scrying, maybe fire scrying, maybe water scrying. I read that, I think it was in Scott Cunningham's book. He did a thing to do herb scrying.
Mm-hmm.
And you take herbs and you sprinkle them on a table. Now that draws off the earth element.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many ways, earth, air, fire, water. But try them all, you know, because you'll hit on one that'll be for you. You know, I think most people who do scrying, if you ask them, they say, I have a specific scrying that I use that I like better than others. And try them all. You'll find the one that works best for you.
And speaking of the infinite different ways of doing not just scrying, but divination. One I was mostly impressed with, I come across in a book. It had to do with, it was called junk drawer divination. Everybody's house has a junk drawer. Well, this had to do with reaching in and I got two also, Tony, right on top of each other because it took two. Well, you're supposed to open it up and just grab one item out, and you could actually look at it for the message and give a divination reading using that. I was pretty impressed with that as a method, you know, junk drawer scrying or divination, because we all got junk drawers.
Well, come to my house. We have about 20. I love it. That's cool. Lord Tony, I can't wait to see your video. And I have to ask you, do you feel that the black mirror is your preferred choice of scrying?
Yeah, it's pretty much my easiest method of doing it. If I don't have that around, I can always just use a TV screen. You know, those
Oh,
things
yeah, that's true.
those work really well anyway. So
Somebody said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I do like the black mirror method, and it's a lot shinier, and I see more that way anyway.
Yeah. Somebody said to me, well, Bob, you could use a tablet or an iPad or a phone. And true, technically those may work for you, but you know, I also think when you talk about scrying, it's best to have something that's set aside uniquely as a portal. Because if you're using your phone, there's a lot of literal static from your communications. Will it work? Yeah, probably, but it's better, I think personally, to have a consecrated piece that's separate from your day-to-day living.
Interesting. Now, my favorite method is using a candle. I like to turn out all the lights and burn a candle and scry in it. Or better yet, sometimes I'll take a bath with all the lights out and have some candles lit in the bathroom and just empty my mind, and I'll receive messages that way too, which combines meditation, relaxation, and scrying all in one.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, you know, I'm reading a book. In fact, hold on, I'm going to show it to you guys. I got it right here since we're talking about this tonight. This is a book that I recommend. And Angela, I think you might have this at your website. And it's called The Art of Black Mirror Scrying.
I think so.
Yeah, and it's by Rosemary Ellen Guiley, Guiley, Guiley.
That's Guiley.
Guiley, excuse me. Yeah, this is a wonderful book because it talks about all the different forms of scrying and, you know, experiences with the black mirror. And, you know, the black mirror isn't just for talking to spirits. You can use it to see past lives. In fact, I saw Gavin Hines earlier talked about that he used the black mirror and he saw his mother's face come through it. You know, and so you can connect with spirits. You can, like last night, we were able to tap into the Fae realm. Now, that was new. I've never had that experience when I scribe, but I did last night. And it talks in here, you can see the past, the present, or the future also. So a lot of different things, but I recommend it. Excellent, excellent book.
Now, Bob, Real Simple Earth Jada asks a wonderful question about how do we close the portals when we're done? Should this be done, and how should we do that?
Well, yes. One of the things, and I didn't show it in my video. Some people wrote me and said, did you close the portal? Actually, I did. After I finished the video, I went, what I usually do is, this sounds weird, I breathe on the mirror, and I see it just cloud over. And then a lot of times I just put a veil over it. Like, you know, it's your intent. There's not really any one formula of words you have to say, but basically you want to acknowledge. A lot of times I'll say thank you to the spirit people, which I should have last time. I didn't remember to say thank you. So anyway, saying goodbye could improve the closing a little bit. But, you know, I did actually close it off camera. So, and a lot of times I'll keep a veil over my mirror.
You know, when I close a session like that, I always thank all the spirits for being there and thank the Lord and Lady for being there. And, you know, do the standard like a circle closing, you know, merry meet and merry part till we meet again. And thank them. I'll say, I will thank them. I'm stumbling on my words. I'll thank the spirits for being there. I'll thank the Lord and Lady for their blessings. I thank for the messages I've received. And then I'll say, merry meet, merry part till we meet again. And it gives me that feeling that it's closed, and it's a comforting feeling, and it's like a little kiss on your cheek as they go. You know, it's wonderful. How about you, Tony?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I've done what you do, and I don't know. A couple of shows ago, Bob and I had talked afterwards about some portals that I have in my house that needed to be closed, some seriously big ones. And what I ended up doing was using the Palo Santo wood and outlining every portal, every area I thought there was a portal. I outlined it in smoke, along with making sure I lit it up with my energy at the same time. And I said, I close this portal, or I seal this portal in the name of Jesus Christ. And I did that 3 times around each area that I thought there was a portal. And I went everywhere with it. I did all the windows, all the mirrors, all the doors, the stairs. And my basement's actually not so cool anymore. It's, I want to say wherever it was, there was an actual coldness coming out of it. And it's not so cold in there anymore. So I think I'm pretty sure I closed it. I'm hoping I did. But I had some pretty nasty stuff hanging around in the house, and they need to leave.
Palo Santo wood is very powerful and especially attuned for exorcising things, you know, running off bad things and drawing in angelic blessed energies. So I think that's a very powerful way there, Tony. That was very knowledgeable and powerful.
Yeah, I have to agree. You know, one of the things also that I a lot of times do with my own scrying mirror, because it's also a portal, is I fumigate it with like frankincense incense. You know, I'll just smudge the mirror down with incense, frankincense.
Yeah. Someone asked about what are some good things to use as offering. Katie McKenzie says, could we talk about what kind of offerings you can place on your altar? You know, you can place all kinds of things. If they bring you happiness, you could put them on there, but also you could put things specific to whatever deity or whatever intentions you're working with. Crystals are wonderful. Stones are wonderful. Things from nature that represent the elements are wonderful. Jewels, you could put all different things. Oils. What do you guys suggest using?
Well, you know, this is a good question, because I was talking to somebody about this the other day. It depends, like for my offerings, whether I'm at just my main altar or I'm at one of my shrine altars. I have multiple altars. Like, for example, I have an altar to the goddess Isis. And so I know what Isis likes at that altar. I also have an altar to Vesta and also to Bridget. And so, like, for example, Vesta, you know, loves anything that's red colored, you know. And so in Isis, I honor her in her sea mother aspects. So I offer things connected to the sea. And so you want to kind of think about your offerings in relation to what would the deity like, because there's some things that are forbidden, like to certain gods. I was reading a book that was interesting that in ancient Egypt, the priests of Isis had to wear pure wool. They couldn't wear a blend of linen and wool or linen and cotton, as was common. They had to wear pure wool. And so, like, I would not offer a blended fabric like that to Isis, you know, because it was her priesthood never had that tradition. Now, I'm not saying you have to be all legalistic on everything, but you should really think about what honors the deity, because, for example, Kali Ma, I have an altar to her as well, you know. Kali Ma, you know, you wouldn't necessarily offer her, well, I'm just saying we wouldn't offer her, but traditionally, for example, she is only offered red flowers, okay? Now, could I offer Kali Ma blue flowers? Probably, but if I know that she likes red, I want to go with that.
I actually have a couple posters here. Well, I have one of Kali Ma that I could show everybody, and maybe you could tell us about her. She's a dark mother goddess, and she is ferocious. Here she is standing on the you know, her opposer that she's beaten, and she's wearing a belt of heads, and it's quite beautiful. She is a very loving mother. She's, for example, say somebody hurt your child, and you were going to go out and make things right to protect your child who you love and adore, and you are their protector. And so in that form, you're like Kali. That's how I think of her.
Oh, yeah, powerful. Kali Ma is the fierce dark mother, and she takes a wrathful, scary form. But to her devotees, she's seen as absolutely protective and loving. She is our mother. And
yeah.
the dark moon is her symbol. So, like, you know, a lot of people that follow Kali will wear the dark moon, you know, like the black circle pendant. And this is a good example. Like, you wouldn't probably want to offer full moon stuff to Kali, like silver or full moon symbols, because she's really the dark moon. So you'd offer darker things to her.
I have a smaller image here of her too. There she is. She's holding the head of the one who she has just, you know, beaten. This time she has a necklace of the heads of those who she's won and a belt of their arms, and again standing on remains. She's a very fierce mother. She definitely is one you want on your side and to show some kind of honor towards, because, yeah, she's a good one to have on your side.
Tell you the interesting thing about Kali Ma. Can you hold that image up again, Lady Angela?
Sure.
I think I want people to see this. when you see Kali Ma, the heads that she's holding are demons. These are the story behind this picture is that there was a point in the history of the earth where the demonic realm rose literally to the surface of the earth, and they were destroying human life. And Kali Ma emerged to fight evil. And when she came forth, she was filled with such wrath, she destroyed all the demons. And now, this is what's interesting. In the Hindu theology, this is not Wiccan, but it is Hindu, they teach that when you are killed by a god, your soul is granted liberation. So even though a force may be evil, like all those dead skulls, all of this also represents souls who are trapped in evil and who are now liberated. And so it's kind of nice because in their theology, ultimately, and it follows spiritualist teaching that the door to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. So I think that's kind of cool that, you know, the act of the killing, like people say, well, why would you worship a god or goddess that's murdering people? I said, well, these you have to understand are such evil people that if they aren't stopped, it will destroy their life. And yet, even in that, the mother goddess is so merciful that she saves even though she has to kill her. Very neat.
Now, on the other side of that, one of my favorite deities is Lakshmi. And I think right now during springtime is a wonderful time for her because she's like new beginnings, springing forth fertility. And some people in chat said they love seeing those other images, but this one is a beautiful one of Lakshmi. You see how she's standing there upon riches and springing forth in fertility and abundance? It's gorgeous. I just love this kind of art. It just pops. It's much like Ganesha back there on the back wall, you know. Her and Ganesha are like best friends. They're not lovers, but they're like best friends. You don't see one without the other. Ganesha stomps down boundaries and clears paths and open ways, and Lakshmi brings the blessing and the abundance. And that's a wonderful goddess, and I like to honor her during springtime.
I love it. You know, Lady Angela, there was recently a meeting between some Hindu leaders and some Wiccan leaders. I was reading about there was a small conference. I think this was actually up in New York. And they got together to discuss spirituality. And the Hindu leaders were curious because a lot of Wiccans worship the Hindu gods. And so there was a whole discussion like, can non-Hindus honor the Hindu gods? And the Hindu leaders said that they were very honored by the Wiccans' reverence for their gods and that they don't see a problem with it. And I think it was really cool because it was a really great dialogue between both of the religions that allowed us to understand each other's perspectives. And the Wiccans, you know, basically told the Hindus, we find truth in reality in your gods, that they connect with us. And the Hindu response was like, we are so glad that you're connecting with them. You know, we hope that you will continue to honor them. I just thought that was kind of neat because sometimes people will say to me, well, you're Wiccan, you can't pray to Kali, you know, you're not Hindu. But many of the Hindu leadership feel that it's okay. So I thought that was good.
Well, you know, I can't see allowing for which deities I want to pray to be limited because whether the Hindus say that we can or not, because they're all part of the one. You know, it's all names and faces and personifications of certain aspects of the one main true God, the all, you know, the powers that be, the main diamond. You know, each of these names, Kali, Lakshmi, all of them, it's just different facets of that diamond. And it's ways for our human mind to grasp something that is so much bigger than ourselves. And so we give different names and personalities and ways to relate and take in those qualities. But really the God and goddess is within us and around us in all things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, like Lord Tony, like we were talking about last week, like with the Necronomicon, you know, like the god Marduk is a great and powerful protector. He has energies like kind of, I would call him the Dark Lord in a sense, you know. Tony, did you hear me?
Nope, your sound went away, Bob.
Oh, okay. Tony,
Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, he's I wouldn't mess with him. he kicks some serious butt when he needs to. So yeah, he's a
great protector, isn't he?
I'm just real tired.
That's okay. Gavin Hines said it's great that certain faiths can grow. And I think it's true. I think what we're starting to see now, Wicca has been, in Wicca, we don't proselytize. We're not out preaching in the streets. But as Wiccans, we should be open to ecumenism, which means finding the common ground with other religions. And I think that many of the Buddhists and many of the Hindus have been very open to receiving Wiccans for dialogue about what do our faiths share in common, And I think it's bringing a lot more awareness of Wicca and a lot more peace to the world, I think so.
I think it makes the overall spiritual light or essence of the world grow brighter, Katie McKenzie has a good point here. She asked, do we ever use movie or book characters as a representation of a deity, like an archetype? She has some people that do that, and it's so interesting. And I think that brings on the point where you don't have to relate with your deity in a way that is some other religious trait. You can have your own ways that you connect with deity. Deity is you. Deity is yours. What you pray to and believe, that's yours. And so if your guide or your deity presents themselves in a certain aspect, that's yours. Own it. So it's fine.
I have to echo what Angela said, because I do think that, it's interesting in the Western culture, because of and I'm not saying this to knock anybody, but the Christian influence has created a concept that there's only one way to see deity. And it's very interesting because I watched a documentary. It was about anime in Japan. And one of the things that they said is an anime that you have to understand as a Westerner watching it is that in Japan, there is the concept, because of the Shinto faith, that you can create your own God and it will manifest. And I think this is really fascinating because the Western occult tradition actually has that, but it's not really well known. They talk about creating a tulpa, which is a thought form, giving it life. And this is very much like what is done in Shinto tradition, because a lot of young people, especially in the anime culture, believe that the anime films portray gods that they can pray to, and that if they see that image and connect to it, they can then bring it into manifestation. And I think there's truth there. I think that's a great question.
That's awesome. And that also brings up the topic of thought forms in general. As a witch, there are times whenever I'll manifest a thought form, a being that you'll send out to say, send blessings to somebody. Tony does a lot of remote blessings where he sends blessings to someone in another place. And that energy he makes or that any of us make that goes out and does that work, it's like a thought form. Therefore, it is a thing. It is a being, and it goes and takes care of that. So what do you think about thought forms, guys? Like beings made out of thought forms. And they only last as long as to serve that purpose and intent that they were created for.
I myself believe it. Go ahead, Ted.
I'm not sure if I've ever made one. I've had people tell me that I've had some, and I really don't know what they meant. I know you're supposed to disassemble them after you're done, but I don't recall ever making one myself.
Well, the thing is, when I first learned about thought forms, I was of kind of two different mindsets. One was how cool that is. I want to do it. The other side of it is, though, there is an ethical side, because some people believe that you are creating a fully independent conscious entity. And therefore, you can also be guilty, I hate to use the word guilty, or complicit in abuse of an entity if you don't recognize it or treat it fairly. They say that when you create a thought form, that you should, at the end of its time, make it the spell so that it dissolves into the universe. And for people who refuse to, if you don't want to dissolve it, then you also have to be responsible for honoring it, nurturing it, and taking care of it. And I think it raises a whole ethical question about consciousness and life forms, you know? And then the whole question comes up, well, if we create the thought form and then we dissolve it, are we killing a being that we brought into life? You know, I don't know. I've really been mixed on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could go either way, you know, which is the same with anything. Magical Fox says they will make a fox god. That's awesome.
You know, in Shinto, fox gods are really powerful. You might want to research Shinto for that. It's really, they got a whole interesting perspective on that.
A few people have reminded us of another word for what we were talking about, which is servitors. Servitors.
Oh, yes, servitors. Yep.
I've heard.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking I'd heard other words too. I was thinking of the word golem, which is it's different. That's different, but it's kind of, you know, similar.
Yeah, I learned the Tibetan word tulpa. I don't know. That's I learned, but
I like that word. It sounds nice.
Tulpa is thought form, servitor. I think we're all talking about similar beings. You know, very fascinating.
Bob, geez, we got 5 minutes left. My goodness.
Are you serious? Where does this time fly? Tony, do you think we're in a time warp?
I've been told I travel, so probably. I'm working in Mojo, scaring everybody and doing this stuff and making time fly.
It's Tony's fault. If y'all want a longer show, it's his fault. He makes it go fast. Oh, Shadowlander just said, yes, guys, I'm working with the Norse god of music, Bragai, and the Norse goddess of night, Nut. I'd like to find more info about them. Can you guys suggest some, I think it's in sources. Norse mythology is fascinating. I love Norse mythology. There's a wonderful book. It's by Llewellyn. It's just simply called Norse Magic. And they have a whole, like, kind of like a dictionary of the deities, and then they talk about their likes and dislikes of rituals to invoke them. That's a great kind of, it's intro, but it's pretty good. Thorough. Yeah. Little paper. It's in fact, hold on, where did I put it? It's part of the World Magic series. This is Celtic Magic. They also have a series called Norse Magic, and it's a small little paperback, but it's packed. Like this book, Celtic Magic, it looks so small, but I'm telling you, it is just chock full of information. So I really recommend it.
Oh, speaking of books, Bob, you know, I'm working on making a Black Raven book for somebody. Oh, and I designed 3 Raven pages. I got to show off. Now, this one, I know you have some of in your book I made you, where it has like a watermark raven. Well, I made 2 more that are awesome. I know how much you like ravens, so I got to show you. Here's one where it has a raven in the corner and it's lined. You can see the other side shining through, but isn't that neat? It has the raven in the corner. So here's a journal page. And Bob, you're going to recognize this raven in this journal page. Remember that raven?
Oh, I know that raven. That's on my book cover.
And so I made journal pages, you know, for this raven-themed book. And I wanted to show you those because you're so crazy about ravens, you know.
I am crazy about ravens. In fact, you know, I have to tell you, speaking of ravens, you know, I've been exploring working with the goddess Bridget. And do you know what? I just found out in this book that ravens are considered also sacred to the goddess Bridget.
Oh, interesting.
Because I didn't know that. So
that is awesome.
People love your book. They're excited about Lady Angela. You know,
yeah, I'll have to show it to you guys when I'm done. I ordered 2 large, like bronze-colored feathers, you know, to go on the front. And I'm going to show a picture to the person, and if they like it, which I think they will, then they'll go on the front. Or we'll see what I come up with, you know. So I'm really excited. I'll be sure to show you guys. I'm excited to make any of those books. And if you want one, go over to my website at rarewiccaspells.com. And check out what I have there and use coupon code Spirit Channel to save 10% on every one of your orders.
Thank you. Carol Pettis, thank you, darling. Carol just said, I want to pray for Jake and the Hickman family before we leave, please.
Aw.
Very kind of you. You know, we all are missing Jake, but I appreciate your kind prayers and all of that because my mom and I are still grieving you. It was just 2 weeks ago he left us. And even though, as I said the other day, that dog was a demon dog, I still loved him. He couldn't help his evil attitude. Anyway.
Our pets become like our children, and we get so attached to them. I know I love too much, and get really attached. And I'm sure you and your mom are really attached to Jake too. And it hurts,
It does. But guys, listen, I know we went on a tangent, but back to Angela's books. I'm telling you, if you want an heirloom book of magic, you need to go to rarewiccaspells.com. I have 3 books from her that she custom made for me, and I love them. In fact, I didn't bring my little travel book in here, but I have a travel book as well. It's small. So do you have any travel books you can show them real quick, Angela?
Not close by, Bob. Not close by right now. No.
Well, we'll see. Go to our website. You'll see it.
Yep. The ones I have are on their way to Great Britain over there packaged up.
Okay, wonderful. And guys, remember, we are all here as a resource. Lord Tony, wonderful angelic connections and healing work. And Tony, would you tell them a little bit about your work?
Yeah, I let the angels work through me, and they guide the energy to where it needs to go for any individual that's needing the healing. That's pretty much it. It'll help remove blocks and basically it heals pretty much anything that it goes to. It'll take some time, it's not like a miracle worker type thing, but wherever it touches, it starts its job, does what it's supposed to do.
And guys, I can personally testify to Tony's work. I've called on him when I had some severe stalking going on and people were harassing me. It was really breaking me down. And Lord Tony's work gave me the power to get through my day and to keep going. And so I recommend it. I really do. Lord Tony, I'm very thankful for your work.
Anytime, Lord Bob.
Well, guys, we are at 9 o'clock hour. I tell you, this show has just flown down. Tony, you got to slow down time for us, okay?
I've been trying. I want the sunlight to stay out here longer, and it just keeps going away.
Tony versus the Sun Lord. Ooh, that's
oh, wow.
That'd be a movie. Well, guys, listen, thank you for being here. Again, I want each of you guys to give your website to tell people how they can connect with you.
Sure. For me, it's rarewiccaspells.com. And don't forget to go and get a reading from Psychic Bob, too, at his website at robert-hickman.com. And, Tony, why don't you tell them how to find you?
You can find me at https://lightbringersangel.simdiff. It's simdif.com. Or just Google it at Lightbringers Angel.
There you go. Lightbringers Angel. I love it. Well, guys, listen, check them out. And if you want to get on my schedule for a private reading, I think I may have some openings. We've been filling up, haven't we, Lady Angela?
Yeah, you sure have been. But there are a couple more openings for next week.
Yeah, so if you want to reach me, contact me at my website. It'll be below this video, robert-hickman.com, or you can write to me at my email, readings@robert-hickman.com, or call my office, 571-483-2112. We'll get you on the schedule. Private reading, you and me one-on-one for an hour. We're going to cover everything, past lives, present situations, future. We're going to look at spirit guides, messages from deceased loved ones and friends. And, we cover all of that, your soul journey, your links, your life mission. And I get a lot in an hour. So some of you have had readings, But listen, connect with all of us. We want to help you grow in your journey. And I'd love to see you. For my readings, I can do phone, Skype, or in person. But call me or write me and we'll get you on, okay? Well, guys, we are at the witching hour. I want to say a big shout out and thank you to all of you for coming out. Thank you for all your prayers, your love. Lady Angela, Lord Tony, thanks for being here. Do you want to say one good night?
Good night, everybody. Can't wait for next week.
Good night, everyone. I'll be making that video shortly. Just got to recharge my phone.
Yay! Exciting. Well, we're going to be excited to see Lord Tony's video. Definitely go to his YouTube channel. Tony, give your YouTube channel again.
It's Anthony Lightbringer, all one word.
There we go. Check it out. We'll put the link below this video. You guys are best. Love you. Blessings to all of you. And next week be back here at the same time, same place for the witching hour. Good night, guys. I love you. We'll see you then. Blessed be.